Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. Well, guys, we had a bit of a palate cleanser. It was I would say probably the funnest episode that we've had so far this season. Compared to the last two episodes from last week, it was a lot more bright and just a lot more just just fun. It was just a fun episode. So, without any further ado, let's let's get into it. Hey, Chewie, punch it. So, we open the episode with Clone X arriving on Tantus with Omega as Hemlock takes Omega to Emery to have her blood tested. And we see this a couple times throughout the episode when we see Emery. We see hesitation from Emery's part. We can see it in her eyes, we can see it in her body language. She doesn't really want to be taking Omega's blood, but she has to because she's essentially undercover at this point. I mean, at least that's how I took it. And Omega notices that Nalase's not there, and Hemlock basically says she's locked up. I'm not going to let her assist you in a breakout this this go around. So just sit tight, get your blood tested. I'll be back in a few minutes to check everything out. As then we get a little back and forth between Omega and Emery, where Omega is basically saying, "Hey, you don't have to do this. I mean, you don't have to do this." And Emery kind of reinforces and says, "Yeah, I have to." But she is happy that Omega is safe, and Omega basically questions her and says, "Am I really? You see what's going on here? I don't think I'm very, I don't think I'm very safe here, sis." But then we cut to to Pavo, and the Empire is starting to pack up and leave house. Um, we see Hunter and Badger as they rendezvous with Wrecker and Crosshair, and Wrecker is a little frustrated with Crosshair for letting Omega get captured again, and Crosshair essentially tells him, "Look, man, I get it. You're mad, but she actually did the smart play here. If she wouldn't have given herself up here, it would have ended bad. The Empire would have set this town on fire. So she made the smart play essentially." As Wrecker and Hunter say, "Well, that's all fine and dandy, but we don't have a ship, and even if we did, we can't get to Tantus." As we cut to Crosshair, we see something that I don't think we've seen in the last three episodes. His trimmer. We see his hand trimmer come back, and as he says this, he says, "Well, that's not entirely accurate. Admiral Rampart has the location, or at least knows where Tantus is, and thankfully, I know where he is." And he's about to tell them where Rampart is when AZ and Fee just come up from the floor, and Crosshair and Fee have a back and forth, which I find very interesting. And Fee essentially says that, "Oh, you must be Crosshair. Well, Tech told me everything about you and your cheerful uh, disposition." So she essentially says that any friend of Brown Eyes, her nickname for Tech, is a friend of hers. So they get on her ship and go to the Imperial encampment, and I wasn't paying attention to the name. So they go to this Imperial encampment to go get Rampart. And and their plan is to steal a transport tank to rescue Rampart. As we see, uh, Rampart working in the encampment with a few of the prisoners. Um, during the landing sequence, and this is the thing I loved about this episode is there was a lot of really freaking cool sequences in this episode, and a lot of really cool set pieces, and this is the first one. Fee uses a quote unquote stealth approach to land on the planet. And what she does is she kills the engines as they're dive bombing the planet, and everything goes zero gravity. And at the last minute, she punches her engines and goes goes past any Imperial ship that could have detected them. It was actually a pretty cool maneuver. I really liked it. I mean, like I said, it was a really cool sequence, and I think, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the batch get dropped off as they find the coordinates for Rampart. They take out a couple Gen 1 stormtroopers as Rampart and the rest of the prisoners load up on a turbo tank and head back to their base or encampment or what have you. And this next part actually made me laugh a little bit because this is right in the Bad Batch's wheelhouse, and I just this plan that they cooked up was pretty funny, in my opinion. The Batch cook up a very harebrained scheme to steal a turbo tank from uh from the Empire, and the best way to do it is to be underneath it instead of trying to go head on with it. So they that's their plan, and they run it to perfection. They intercept the turbo tank. Hunter goes for the controls. Wrecker and Crosshair go to retrieve Rampart, and um, before they go in, two things are said. We hear Crosshair says that the room is magnetically sealed, and that they're running Plan 55. So they go in there, and again, one of the cooler sequences I think we've seen this season. Um, with it being magnetically sealed, Crosshair fires one bolt that ricochets across the entire cabin and takes out like seven troopers. It does show that he still has it when it counts, and I think that's gonna come back up to where we see that it's literally a he's got to have confidence in himself to be able to do this stuff now. And that's something that I noticed in this episode during this sequence is was a lot more confident in himself, and that led him to be able to shoot like Crosshairs. I know it's close quarters, but still. And anyways, Wrecker takes out the other two, the last two guards, as they grab Rampart and let the other prisoners go. The funny part is Rampart remembers Crosshairs and is extremely confused as to why the Bad Batch are coming to get him. Well, as they're making their way out, the Empire starts to pick up that they're down one turbo tank, and again, well, Rampart puts everything together that they need something from him, otherwise they wouldn't be breaking him out. As Crosshair essentially bargains with him and says, "Okay, look, get me off this planet, and then I'll tell you where Tantus is." So now we go to another fun sequence, and this might be my favorite sequence of the whole show. I know I said a few minutes ago that the landing sequence was cool, but this one was pretty awesome, and it's in Bad Batch fashion. It's something that is within their character as a group. They essentially do a tank on tank battle, and as the Empire is trying to close off this bridge, Hunter just puts this thing into into full gear and just plows through the bridge, and then there's a tank on tank like a turbo like a tank on tank battle, which I found really cool. Um, and they actually end up blowing the wheels off the other tank and using it as a ramp to jump over the remainder of the bridge, and then run through the and then ran through the other end of the gate as the Empire gives chase with two LAATs, and they end up taking down one LAAT in the pursuit, and the second one manages to land some troops on top of the one they stole, on top of the turbo tank, and uh, Hunter does some maneuvering, shakes them off as they disable the cannons. The second transport that dropped them off is now on their tail. They don't have any cannons, and they're running out of room. So Fee comes in at the very last second and takes out the LAAT, and they all jump off of the turbo tank as it's going off the cliff. Um, and then we get a scene with them on the ship, and essentially Rampart tells them that, okay, I don't know where it is. They made it that way by design, and we're left with a cliffhanger that he knows a way to get around that, and we're gonna find that out next week. And the thing that gets me about uh I'm just wondering how they're gonna get there. Who else knows this information or how he's gonna get it? I'm really intrigued by that. And the last thing that we see in the episode is Omega's blood gets tested, and it comes back, it's successful. She can replicate M counts, yada yada yada. And we see a conflict with, like, in Emery's eyes and body language. She doesn't want to do this. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. She knows it doesn't feel right, but she still has to kind of play her side, kind of play the Empire side until things line up. So Hemlock takes Omega down to the vault. As he does, we get a little bit of an explainer as to why she's so valuable, why Omega's so valuable um to the Empire. And he essentially tells her that an individual's M count cannot be replicated, and every time they tried, the count degrades until they tested a her blood with one of their M count specimens, one of the kids, and something that me and a lot of other people have started putting together is that her her blood, whatever secret, whatever it is in her blood, is it acts as a binder. Like I said last week, that it's kind of, think of it like a blood transfusion, like a blood transfusion. You got to be, like, I think, O negative or O positive to really have for a blood transfusion to work. And I think that's kind of what they're going with Omega's blood. It works. Her blood works as a good binder between um the M counts, the high M count individuals, and the Palpatine clone that they're trying to make. And so he walks her to the vault, and the last thing that we see in the episode is her essentially getting locked up. And just like me and a lot of other people have said, her point now is to get those kids out. That's gonna be her fight. And I think what's gonna happen in the last couple episodes, she's gonna get them out, and then she's gonna fight. She's going to quote unquote fight Palpatine. I don't know how that's going to work, but they're going to have some kind of a confrontation. I think we've actually seen it in a couple of trailers actually, and yeah, and that's the episode. So I'm gonna do things a little different this, this go around. Um, I think the last three episodes. I think this is what's gonna happen. The next episode, we're gonna get the Bad Batch is going to get to Tantus. Is going to figure out how to get to Tantus. And then the last two episodes are going to be just the fight, going to be the Clone Rebellion. And this next episode is going to be them setting things up, getting things set up for the final fight. And then the last two episodes, we're I think we're going to see I think we're going to see the rebellion. Um I'm going to go on record right now and say I think we see Vader. Um it makes too much sense for this if things do go bad and Tantus falls. I don't see why the Emperor wouldn't unleash Vader here to kind of glass the planet, as it were. I do think it's going to be Vader and his 501st going up against the Bad Batch, Rex, Gregor, Echo, and Wolf. And I do like the theory that maybe Cody is Clone X, and Rex and the boys have to like Rex, Gregor, and Wolf have to take him out, have to kill him, and that's why they go into hiding. But we'll see. But I think next week is going to be a big setup for the last two episodes, which is essentially going to be a two-part finale. I think I've really enjoyed this season, guys. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I remarked when I was watching the episode that I think that I'm taken my breath taken away by the animation every single week. They've really figured it out with the animation, and I really noticed that in Emery's body language. Like you could see the conflict in in her eyes and her in just her subtle movements, and that's something that I've really enjoyed is watching her character throughout the season, her struggle. And the last thing I'm going to touch on this episode is we had something else that dropped this week, the Star Wars Outlaw trailer. And if you guys do not follow me on Instagram, I made a 1 minute review. It's what I do for uh, when stuff drops throughout the week. I just make a 1 minute review and run with it. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching that trailer. The story looks fun. It's set for those that don't know. It's set between 5 and 6, so it's the time where the Empire, outside of when everything first starts, this is when they're at their most deadly. I mean, the rebels are in hiding. Han's in carbonite. Luke's still gathering himself, so things are looking pretty bleak. And essentially, you're playing as an outlaw, and the way that I stood it from the story trailer is you're trying to take down every single crime syndicate in Star Wars, and we actually go to Jabba's palace on Tatooine, and not only see Jabba, but we also see Han. We also see the carbonite statue of Han. So I'm really interested to see what happens with this game, and I don't think the guy that's in Kyle's clothes is Kyle. I just I want to see him in canon, but I don't think I don't think they're gonna bring him in here. As much as I hate to say that, because I mean, Kyle Katarn is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Legends characters. Just ask me on a different day, and it might be Starkiller. But I, yeah, I don't think we're gonna um see Kyle. I don't think that's him. But I'm really interested to see what this game's gonna feel like. I would love it if it was essentially GTA and Star Wars. I would really like that. But with the teen rating, I don't know how much they're gonna be able to push it per se. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all I've got, guys. Like I said, I think this episode's probably my favorite episode so far. I mean, it was definitely the funnest episode we've had so far in this season. And I think this was a nice palate cleanser for the last few episodes we're gonna get, because it's about to get. I think things are about to get nasty, gonna get bad. I'm gonna cry. I'm me and you and everybody else probably gonna cry a lot. So get ready. But well, guys, until next week, of course, be with you.